Thanks for staying with us. Apologies for that break in transmission. We continue the discussion now with Babashola Adigbui, a public affairs analyst. And it's all about the new CJN or the acting CJN and the task ahead. Babashola, thanks for staying with us.
Thank you so much for staying with us,
Yeah,
Bashola.
So,
okay, thank you for having me.
okay, let's look at the task ahead for the new CJN or acting CJN, as it were. For all of the allegations of corruption, mismanagement, and others leveled against the former CJN, the new acting CJN has to reform that institution. How do you think he should go about it?
Well, I think the first thing he has to do, since he's part of the 14 justices
Hmm.
that walked away or made allegation against the former
The former
CJN,
CJN.
he needs to look. He needs to look into all those allegations. That's the first thing he needs to do. He needs to look into all those allegations. Then, number one, he needs to look into the concerns of the justices and the man being an acting CJN now
Hmm.
automatically becomes the chairman of the NGC.
Yes.
So he also needs to look into NGC, into NGC structure and see how things can be done better. Then I think most importantly, the CJN has to do something about all this counter what's it called? Petitioning, whereby
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember the normal words, whereby one you there will be a case in one high court and another the same case
A
in another
counter
high
motion.
court in
Okay.
about 40.
Yes.
You get so they go all around. So he has to do something about that. There must be a stop. If it has to, all these things has to be done electronically. Let it be done electronically, so that once there is a filing of a case in one court, it should not be allowed in another court,
Court. It should be in the
whereby they
system.
will have, yes, whereby we have different rulings on the same case. So it has to stop. For me, it's just they are just playing around the court. So the new CJN has to do something about that. Then it needs to look into the welfare of all these justices and judges. It needs to look into that because whether we like it or not, all these people are those who are giving us assurance based on what
Hmm.
the law says, what the constitution says. Because whatever judgment they are giving, whatever ruling they are giving, is based on the constitution. But
Yes.
whereby the welfare is not well taken up, definitely they will go. They will go with highest bidder. You get? They will go with highest bidder,
Yes.
and you at the end of the day, you might not blame them because they also have life to live. So the man has to look into all those things and make life better for all the justices and the judges within the court system.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, now let's look at the judiciary at this. One of the concerns or one of the complaints the Supreme Court judges or some judges mentioned was the fact that they were not being carried along during the tenure of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria. So the issue of carrying the judges along, because in the history of Nigeria, I think it's the first time that there's been some discrepancies, disagreements in the judicial system between judges of like minds. So the task ahead for the new CJN, what do you think he could do just so that these core judges will feel among or feel included in the system?
Well, in leadership, I always believe that as a leader, you must uh, you must be leading by carrying other people along. You don't just sit in your office, take decision, take action without the input from others. You don't have the knowledge. You don't know it all. You are not the only one created to have that the knowledge of everything within a system. You need people that will work with you. Where a leader fails to the people working with him, it means that you have something to hide. You have something you are doing secretly that you don't want others to know. You are doing something that is totally against the wish of others. So, as a new CJN, not as he steps in and he needs to invite all those the 13 justices now because they are now 13. So he needs to invite all the 13 justices and all of them sit down, let them look into it, carry all of them, and if he has to form a committee, if he has to give an assignment, let everyone have sense of belonging. It's not that you be in a position as a boss, because it's only a boss that will take a decision, that will take an action, I will not give a damn about any other person except what he has the decision he has taken. So
Yet again, another issue with network. But I get the point he's trying to make. As a leader, like you already mentioned, it's important you include
There
your
has to be
follower.
that
There
sense
has
of
to be,
belonging.
of course. So it's. And he also mentioned that only a boss would just sit in the office and take decisions without having to involve the next person. So there's obviously a difference between a leader and a boss. And I think one of the points he's also trying to make is the fact that the new acting CGN should be a leader in that sense and not a boss. And of course, it's always important to have, while you in decision-making process, you have to include the people you trust.
Apparently.
Yeah, to have to impute what they think and give their suggestions, just so that there could be a successful governance while you are on set.
I would also like, to hear his thoughts regarding the possibility of restoring. Okay, Babashala, are you there with us?
I'm here with you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. So I would like to get your thoughts, even as we try to wrap up this conversation. How can the CJN now? You've talked about certain reforms it should introduce into the system, to make it more robust and take it back to that elevated, standard. But I'm looking at the judiciary as the last hope of the common man, and how over time there's been that mistrust between the people and the judiciary. They think it's for the highest bidder, and justice is simply a myth rather than a reality for everyone under the law. So, how can the new CJN, bring about that trust back, wherein the judiciary will be seen as truly the last hope for the common man?
I remember the issue of Imo State Governor's
election ruling.
I'm still here to understand how a man that came forth in an election automatically became a governor. I'm here to understand. All because you said in one unit, 388 electorates were denied disenfranchised. And as a result, you added it to one. And as a result, you made the fourth, not the second, not the third, the fourth being the
network there acting funny. I would really like, I think I know where he's coming from, but I would really like to, have the sum of his thoughts regarding that, because over time Nigerians have had that apathy of some sort towards judicial process, thinking, oh, it's still going to end the same way.
I think it's back.
I'm yet to understand all those.
Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. We lost.
I'm yet to understand all those things. So for me,
you have the floor. Shoot. Okay. Network issues that acting funny, but he just brought that as an example of that illustration for Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Imo State. I would like to hear him, tell us how this new CJN can restore that confidence back in the judiciary. Can you hear me, Babashala? Okay, the network
is again. So friendly. Yeah. Well, if you can hear us in the course of the conversation, please do well to join and share your thoughts also.
As I said earlier, the common man just thinks, oh, going through, the legal process is cumbersome, it's tiring, it's money, consuming and all of that. And there's always the notion that, oh, especially when you have a case against someone who is more influential and affluent than you are, there's always that notion of, oh, it's the courts, it's going to go his way rather than your way. So, the new CJN definitely has to reform and address that as well. We're now beginning to see some sort of apathy where rather than the common man going to the courts to seek redress or justice, it now goes through the religious pattern of, oh, I leave you to God, I don't have the means to fight you. Yeah, Babashala, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So my question is this: how can the new CJN restore, the confidence back in the judiciary, where the common man would see the institution as the last place for hope?
Well, I know that there are some rulings that are giving a lot of concerns in this country.
Yep.
Well, I think, like you had said, the judiciary should be the last hope for the common man, and then we should trust in the process. We should trust in the judicial process, and we using this opportunity to, if at least through the new CJN, to understand that these people, there's been a lot of mistrust between the people and the government.
That's right, this arm of the government.
This arm of the government. So there should be a level of trust, irrespective. However, it's going to be done. Well, we hope it's done and done fast. Baba
Yeah.
Shola, are you there? If you're there, please do share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, so like I said, the new CJN needs to review some rulings,
Okay.
and we are not saying they should upturn it,
Okay.
but they should, in one way or the other, appeal to the conscience of Nigerians that okay, for this and so things, when the we are trying to rebuild the trust of the NJC, and we look into the rulings in the past and ensure that such don't happen later in the future.
Okay, well, I think that at this point we just have to call the segment a wrap right now,
Yep.
because I get the point he's trying to make, and we also hope. And he also makes some really valid point, but for the sake of network, we won't be able to take this.
Apparently.
Well, thank you so much, Baba Shola. If you can hear us, we appreciate your time on the show. We'll be speaking with Baba Shola Adigbuyi, a public affairs analyst, talking on the resignation of the former CJN and also the task ahead for the new acting CJN. We'll take a short break now. Coming up next is the morning motivation segment. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.